The Lord Mayor. City of Adelaide Council meeting on Tuesday, 9 July 2024. The Lord Mayor is in the chair. This council meeting will be streamed live and recorded for publishing to the internet. Please note that an audio and visual recording is being taken of this meeting. This means that your presence at and any contribution you make to the meeting may be collected, used, disclosed or published publicly by the council, including transferring outside Australia.
Good evening. Council acknowledges that we're meeting on traditional country of the Kaurna people of the Adelaide Plains and pays respects to elders past and present. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land, and we acknowledge that they are of continuing importance to the Kaurna people living today. We also extend that respect to other Aboriginal language groups and other First Nations people who are with us today. The Council acknowledges the vision of Colonel William Light in determining the site of Adelaide and the design of the city with its 6 squares and surrounding belt of continuous parklands, which is recognised on the National Heritage List as one of the greatest examples of Australia's planning heritage. We pray for wisdom, courage, empathy, understanding and guidance in the decisions that we make, whilst seeking and respecting the opinions of others. May we in this meeting speak honestly, listen attentively, think clearly and decide wisely for the good governance of the City of Adelaide and the well-being of those we serve. Now I ask all those present to stand in silence in memory of those who gave their lives in defence of their country, at sea, on land and in the air. Thank you, members. Please be seated. This evening we have apologies and leave of absence from Councillor Elliott. Otherwise, no other requests have been made. Could I ask someone to move the confirmation of the minutes of the last meeting? Moved by Councillor Noon, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. Do I have any declarations of conflict of interest? No? We have no deputations and we have no petitions. I'll now move on to the recommendations and advice from committees, starting with...
Lord Mayor, I might wish to make a personal exclamation.
Yes.
Before we move on into business.
Thank you.
Lord Mayor, I rise to make a personal explanation. Last week, as I will report in another part of the agenda, I attended the annual National Assembly of the Australian Local Government Association and the Australian Council of Local Government in Canberra, representing the City of Adelaide. My attendance was approved by a decision of this council. That decision was made in open council on 2 occasions, as the attendance of the Australian Council of Local Government was approved separately. On both occasions, it was decided in the presence of councillors and is on the public record on video and in the publicly available minutes. Last Tuesday evening, due to my attendance at the National Assembly, I was an apology for the committee meetings convened that evening. I requested leave from the acting CEO and received confirmation that my apologies would be recorded. I am the chair of the Community Services and Cultural Committee, which has an elected Deputy Chair, the Deputy Lord Mayor, who took my place for this meeting. The week before I left for the Assembly, I met with Mr Haridas, Director City Shaping, for our regular pre-committee meeting for July, and then I briefed my deputy so he was across the issues. Lord Mayor, on the evening of the committee meeting, when I was absent for publicly known reasons, one elected member of this council chose to film in this chamber a video casting aspersions on the presence of the chair of the council, of a council committee, and asserting that the absent chair was paid $1,500 for that meeting alone. The video was posted on Instagram. It is impossible to not assume the references in the social media posts were about me. The coincidence of factors being my absence that evening, the deputy chairing the meeting, the timing of the post, and indeed reference to the time and length of the meeting. I am offended by the language and misrepresentation of facts about my absence and the payment of fees to me as chair of a committee, insinuating that I do not take my role as chair seriously and that I was absent for no apparent reason while picking up a call $1,500 for a single meeting. Lord Mayor, $1,500 for a single meeting, what an outrageous claim and impossible in any South Australian council, impossible. One of the foundation principles for local government in South Australia is transparency. If there are members of the public who might be fooled by this reprehensible misrepresentation motivated by petty political point scoring about how public money is spent, I ask that they don't take my word for it, nor the word of the councillor abusing the privilege that social media allows. I simply ask that you go to the source, the place where the decisions are made about allowances for elected members, namely the South Australian Remuneration Tribunal. $15,000? No, more like $630 per month, not per meeting, regardless of how many times the committee meets, regardless of the work outside the committee meetings to ensure we have a good understanding of the issues and the attendance at events, meetings and activities in our portfolio areas. The tribunal is the independent body charged by the Parliament of this state to make recommendations about council allowances, and I need... and additional allowances for chairs for committees. The facts are there and allowances paid to all of us consistent with those determinations. I want to make one final observation, Lord Mayor, and that is this. If you cast an eye over the publicly recorded history and performance of elected members in this term of council, whether in media or minutes or meetings, it is possible to come to one's own conclusions about performance and motivation. Is there a pattern of behaviour here that may have started prior to this council's term, perhaps in another council, one coincidentally with a female presiding member? Is it an accident that this same councillor whose trigger-happy social media presence has consistently attacked and disrespected the female presiding member of this council and now another female presiding member? Lord Mayor, this behaviour seems to be disruptive, disrespectful and designed to silence, intimidate and undermine women in this chamber, which could result in actively discouraging women in our community from ever considering running for office.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor.
Sorry, I had to go to the bathroom and I missed the first half of it, but I assume it was about me. I totally would like to correct the record. No, you don't earn $1,500.
This is a personal explanation?
Yeah, you absolutely don't earn $1,500 now. You earn $750 per meeting. The last committee meeting went for 20 minutes. And that is in a very complex structure where we have 4 chairs to do multiple different works, which I say is overly complex and arduous.
I think it would be appropriate if you addressed your personal explanation, not relitigated the argument.
No, I'm clarifying the position. So there was an Instagram post done by you, Lord Mayor, which snipped the first half of that. And if you read the rest, if you watch the actual rest of the video, it states quite clearly that we have about 10 committee meetings a year for each of the committees, and they each get paid as an additional payment about $7,500. Now, I did ask questions to you, Lord Mayor, as well, about what kind of work a committee chair does outside of the meeting. Now, I also like to note that it would actually be quite illegal for any chair to direct staff in any way. And we all have a responsibility to read our reports as we go into those meetings, as we do to come into this meeting as well. Members, I've said this to you previously, that if we have a 20-minute committee meeting, it takes a significant amount of time, and we literally have staff sitting outside waiting for the next one to start, and they're sitting around for about an hour or so waiting for the next thing to move forward. My recommendation to you is to have one committee where we can deal with all the issues, chaired by the Deputy Lord Mayor.
Councillor, this is not a personal explanation.
This is a personal explanation. I was just attacked by a whole bunch of stuff, and
this is a discussion
if I can finish
about
my
the
3 minutes,
structure.
that'd be great.
It would be good if you
I understand
stuck
it involves
to
you
the
as well.
theme,
Yeah.
which is the behaviour, not the theme of the committees.
Yeah, and the point I'm trying to make, which I think was glossed over and attacked me personally, my view on this issue, is we should have one committee chaired by our very capable Deputy Lord Mayor, who already gets paid a 1.5 times loading, and that would cost ratepayers no additional funds. That's his job. It's just coordinating traffic lights. There's no other work, and it would actually be quite illegal for you to go and direct staff or to do any other work or be involved in those in that work outside of this council chamber. So that is my major gripe, and that's what I would like to say.
Thank you, Councillor Martin.
Look, Lord Mayor, I wish to make a personal statement too, and I wish to thank...
I think we've got quite a few of them, but I can understand your intent.
Lord Mayor, this is important.
Yes.
I thank Councillor Giles for her frankness and her courage in saying what is on the minds of a lot of us. Why is it that women in this chamber are constantly under attack?
Oh no, I attack you a lot.
Well, I'm not going to listen to anything that is said here because it is consistent with the disrespect that we hear in this chamber. Why is it, Lord Mayor, that women, and I look to you, Lord Mayor, you are subjected to persistent, unreasonable attacks by people in this chamber? It is appalling. It's appalling behaviour. And moreover, this kind of attack has gone on now pretty much the whole term. And it extends beyond the chamber into social media. Why is it that women of profile are mocked on social media and those very, very sites are liked by Councillor Davis? Why does that happen? Nicola Spurrier, advertiser, correspondents and commentators. Lord Mayor, there is a pattern here, and it is a pattern that is unacceptable. And I ask every member of this chamber, to condemn it now. It must stop.
No, I think we do.
I think we don't, Councillor. Can you just sit down, please?
Well, we're talking about personal explanations, which you just allowed and didn't interrupt him.
You have had a personal explanation. Would you like to sit down, please?
Not about attacks around me and having issues with women, because who I was calling a liar was not you originally. It was actually Councillor Martin.
No, I think that
I have significant issues with Councillor Snape as well, who are both men.
No, we don't wish to hear about your issues.
And if you look at
life is too short. Please
my
sit
conduct
down.
around Councillor,
please just sit down.
A councillor in the other city of Burnside and another councillor who are both removed.
We don't want to know about your issues with anybody. I think we need to move on. And people have said what they believe to be true. People can only observe what's in the room, and I think we should move on.
Yeah, I just note that they can say what they believe to be true, but not me.
Item 11, which is the recommendation of the City Services. If you are minded to do so, we will take these two items together. Councillor Martin.
Lord Mayor, may I ask that we deal with the items separately? There are just two, and I wish to offer a personal explanation at that point.
The second recommendation. So would you move 7.1 first? Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Snape. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. 7.2. Are you going to move it?
Yes, I'm happy to move it, Lord Mayor.
7.2, seconded by Councillor Abrahimzadeh. You requested some information about funding.
Yes, Lord Mayor. I spoke at committee about the sublease arrangements, which are part of the Parklands leasing proposal for Park 15 by Prince Alfred College, and remarked to elected members that the costs seemed to be substantial by calculating the figures that were presented in the report at pages 26 and 27. Subsequent to my suggesting that the cost could amount to as much as $50,000 a year, the administration has made it clear to me and other elected members that the information presented was not correct. That is to say that the costs presented were hourly costs, but in fact they're daily costs. And therefore the calculation I made of $50,000 was incorrect, and the cost of the subleasing arrangements are of the order of $12,000 a year. And on that basis, Lord Mayor, I think that's an entirely fair and reasonable arrangement, and I would ask all elected members to endorse not only the lease but the arrangement that Prince Alfred College has made with the Goodwood Junior Cricket Club and the Women's AFL team.
Can I thank you for your diligence in actually reading the report and picking the error? Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to item 12. There are 8 parts to this. Do we have any enthusiasm for taking it en bloc, or would you like to discuss any particular items? Councillor. 7.7. So would you be happy to move 7.71 to 7.6 and 7.8, excluding 7.7? Seconder, Councillor Snape. All those in favour? All those against? Thank you, members. We'll go back to 7.7, the local nuisance exemptions.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Given that it is we're essentially noting the report, I would just like to bring this to the members' attention, and that is that this was discussed at length on a couple of different occasions, but here we are where we are notified of what we were originally notified of, and that is our limited power. Now, the reason why I wanted to pull this item out, Lord Mayor, was because there was an expense affiliated with this item, and I think this chamber constantly asks for stuff, requests administration to do things, but also in the same breath wants to keep those fees and charges low, keep the rates low, and essentially puts administration in a difficult position, I think. So what would have been ideal in this case, in my opinion, is that this shouldn't have come through the chamber on 2 different occasions. This probably could have been dealt with in a meeting with the relevant staff. I don't think there was a need for a motion on notice to come through this chamber, not once but twice, and for those costs to be incurred. That's my personal opinion, but nevertheless, we're noting the report, and I'm happy to endorse that we're noting the report and our limited power in local government.
And can I commend you also, because you have some improvements that you're going to put into the pipeline soon, so thank you for that. So moved by Councillor Abrahimzadeh, seconded by, I've just lost that, Deputy Lord Mayor. Sorry, I missed the DLM. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. So that item's completed. I'm just beginning to 30, 40, which I've now lost. Thank you. Many of you will have been involved in the NAIDOC celebrations over the last week, and it's been an extraordinary week. We've had also a range of activities for National NAIDOC Week, which has made it even more exciting. That overall, it's been an exhilarating, optimistic and rather joyous occasion. The Town Hall hosted a launch of the 50-cent new coin, which was to celebrate 50 years of NAIDOC. The reason for the 50 years celebration was that 50 years ago the committee structure changed to include only Aboriginal people, so it was self-determination taking big steps. The gala evening at the Adelaide Convention Centre was attended by several members of council, and I think it was a scintillating, sparkling event for all those who attended. Yesterday we gave the Lord Mayor's NAIDOC Award in conjunction with the ceremony for the Premier's Awards, and we aligned the 2 events and co-hosted the event at the Town Hall. The award winner was Uncle Frank Wangatja Wanganeen, and this recognised 30 years of work in helping to close the gap and fostering reconciliation. He's advised on issues around Aboriginal heritage, native titles, social justice, and the revival of the Kaurna language. Uncle Frank describes himself as a cultural educator who promotes Kaurna heritage and First Nations issues through his amazing Kaurna cultural walking tours conducted throughout the CBD. It was a popular choice, and I was very happy to be involved in that award ceremony. Of interest also, I met the Ambassador for Norway, Her Excellency Miss Anna Greta Ries, at the Town Hall, and I watched the screening of a new Australian indie film. For those of you who live close to the Piccadilly Cinema, I really recommend you go and see Emotion is Dead. I saw the opening night, and it is a stunning production filmed in Adelaide and Elizabeth. The movie follows the story of a teenager who is a skateboarder with dreams of escaping his northern suburbs home. I should mention the director was particularly complimentary about the Adelaide City Council, who were involved in setting up the locations around town, and he commended staff for their support and help, so I should pass on those thanks. When you go and see it, which I really hope you do, it's only on for another 10 days, you'll be able to recognise the Adelaide locations and the South Australian iconography that makes it quite exciting. In addition, I attended a consultation session on the Federal Government's National Urban Policy Document and the Adelaide Parklands Management Strategy public engagement session in Rundle Mall. On a more sad note, although it was a celebratory event, I represented the Council at the state funeral of the late Steele Hall, Premier of South Australia and Senator, as well as Member of the House of Reps. Thank you. Davis, seconded by Councillor Abrahimzadeh. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on now to item 16, which is, 15, Councillors' reports. So I think we have a report from Alga, but Deputy Lord Mayor got the first call.
Happy to move it, but also happy to speak. I've had quite a busy week, Lord Mayor, and very fulfilling week, but a lot of hard work as well, with 7 events in less than 4 days. I think 4 of which I was representing yourself and the City of Adelaide. On Wednesday, I attended the launch of Illuminates Adelaide Eden, and I believe Councillor Noon was also in attendance at that. It was a wonderful event on Light Square. And then shortly after that, I went off to the City South Association's meeting where Councillor Spentrett was also present. On Thursday, I once again represented you at 2 events with Illuminate. The Universal Kingdom at Adelaide Zoo, which is quite a spectacular exhibit around dinosaurs and prehistoric creatures, and it's definitely one for the kids. Very, very entertaining. I recommend that to the families. And then after that, I hurried along over to Botanic Park for Fire Gardens and the launch there. And that was definitely much more kind of adult, spectacular, almost steampunk meets Middle Ages. It is quite an entertaining, with 1,500 braziers and the like. So I definitely recommend getting along to that one as well. And I was honoured to represent you at that one as well. I think Councillor Noon was also in attendance, and Councillor Cross, in fact, at that one. And then on Friday, I attended the South Australian Architecture Awards, along with many other councillors here, and I believe Councillor Abrahimzadeh was representing you at that one. And that was a fantastic evening as well. And finally, as most of the councillors in the room, I attended the 2024 National NAIDOC Awards. I slept well on the Sunday, Lord Mayor, I'll say that much. Thank you.
Had a good night on Saturday. Councillor Giles.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Last week, as your representative, I attended the National General Assembly of Mayors and Councillors from right across Australia, followed by the Council for Local Government, which provides an opportunity to talk directly to and hear from federal ministers on issues and funding. I'll be providing a written report to Council and Administration, but I would like to take this opportunity to briefly outline some of the key highlights from the 4 days of meetings and how they relate to us at the City of Adelaide. On the first day, the Local Government Association of South Australia, with the assistance of Steve Georgianis, member for Adelaide, organised a meeting in Parliament House between all the South Australian delegates and most of the South Australian members of Parliament. This was a great opportunity for us to meet each other and make direct contact with our federal parliamentary representatives. The Congress began with Paul Girawa House, who welcomed us to his country, followed by the newly appointed Governor-General Sam Mostyn, and it was her first public speech, so we were very honoured that local government was her first gig as Governor-General. The Federal Minister of Infrastructure, Catherine King, the Shadow Minister for Local Government, Bridget McKenzie, the Minister for Infrastructure, Catherine King, I've done her, and the President of the Australian Local Government Association, Linda Scott. The key themes in these presentations were the need to recognise local government as being crucial in the rollout of initiatives that address the affordable housing crisis, the climate emergency, and building back better following now regularly occurring natural disasters. They also stressed the need for collaboration and building community trust and the social cohesion and social cohesion. And they all saw local government as having a major force in this regard. The Minister referred to a large number of newly funded initiatives, and in the next few weeks I'll be seeking information from our administration about how we are tapping into these funding streams. It's fair to say our council, through our strategic plan and budget, is well aligned to federal priorities, and this puts us in a very good position to access this funding. The Australian Local Government Association has commissioned research which clearly demonstrates that our sector is the most efficient and provides the best value for money of all the levels of government. 77% of roads in Australia are managed by local councils, and a large amount of local infrastructure is our responsibility. Yet the report found the percentage of infrastructure in poor condition had shrunk from. I'll only need another minute. The report found that infrastructure in poor condition had shrunk from 10% to 8% in the last 10 years, even though some areas have been hit with almost yearly flooding disasters. Councils across the country are good at maintaining and improving local infrastructure. There were two reports point to the fact, however, that secure and untied funding will produce more effective and efficient results. Compared to last year, there was very little disagreement in the debate on motions, 180 of which had been put in, on the big issues facing us across the nation. Climate change is clearly on everyone's agendas, as was transport and housing. On your behalf, I moved our motion and it was passed without debate, and I'd like to thank Councillor Siebentritt for his assistance in that. The Australian Council of Local Government is a body established by the federal government, and at this meeting the Prime Minister confirmed his commitment to the work we do in local government, and it was a great opportunity to discuss with ministers directly the issues of housing affordability, skill shortage, disaster relief and recovery. However, it was a session on climate change and renewable energy which was most powerful, with Minister Chris Bowen calling on us all to actively assist in meeting our national climate targets, particularly in relation to the reduction in carbon. It was pleasing to hear mayors and councillors from across the country stepping up to this challenge and discussing the very practical things they were doing in their communities. Overall, it was 4 days well spent, and for me it reinforces that we are in step with other councils, national and global priorities, and now is the time for us to step up, grab the opportunities provided to us. Thank you.
Thank you. I think now it's Councillor Noon.
This sort of aligns a little bit with Councillor Giles' comments about the local government forum she went to. I went to many civic functions and meetings over the last fortnight, but the standout to me was the National Urban Conference Roadshow, which I attended with the Lord Mayor and many of our senior staff. it was the Commonwealth Government ascertaining what assistance and what alignment there is in both state and local government and how we could all work together. Perfect timing. In fact, the organisers actually came up to me and said that this was, well, they actually said to the audience that this was the best workshop that they had conducted, but they came up to me and said that they were really impressed with how we had progressed the city plan and how progressed it more than what they were actually doing and what they expected. So it is, it is congratulations to our fantastic senior management that have really put so much work into this, and council overall, and it really did confirm that we are on the right track and that we are aligning what we're doing with both the Commonwealth and the state government, and it was really great to be a part of that.
Thank you, Councillor. Were there any other reports? Councillor Siebentreut.
Lord Mayor, just very briefly wanted to recognise, had the opportunity to participate in a City South Association forum, which the Deputy Lord Mayor mentioned, also South East Community Residents Association, which also the Deputy Lord Mayor was in attendance at. I just wanted to note them because I think it demonstrates the ongoing commitment to consultation by our community members. In this case, they're in the south of the city. We know it happens elsewhere across the city, so I think we really ought to recognise when those contributions are being made. We've got members of our community reading in detail the material put out, in this case a lot of interest in the city plan. So I just wanted to recognise the ongoing commitment of members of our community.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other reports? If not, we'll move on to the next item. Can we move a seconder that they be received? Councillor Siebentreut, Deputy Lord Mayor, all those in favour? Yes, Councillor Couros voted. Can we take that again? I didn't see Councillor Ho vote. All those in favour? Oh, all those against? That's thank you. We'll move on to the next item then, and that's 16.1, which is the motion on notice from Councillor Siebentreut. You should have stayed standing. And seconded by Deputy Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. If I can just speak to it briefly. So, many of you will recall there was a very successful trial, a green waste trial in Rundle Mall, which wrapped up in 2023. In fact, it was award-winning, and our team here at Council did a marvellous job at implementing that along with a number of other stakeholders. But this motion here links with another one of my favourite topics, which is coffee. And what we're actually on the verge of at the moment is coming 1 September, there will be a transition, another step on the journey around reduction in single-use plastics. And many council members may not be aware that often coffee cups have a plastic lining, not necessarily a silver lining, but a plastic lining. And they 50% have plastic, the other 50% are compostable. So we're going to see continued uptake of these compostable coffee cups across the city, as well as reduction number of other types of single-use plastic. So this is a relatively straightforward motion, and as we've seen the response for the administration here, there is already money in the FY25 budget to look at an audit in terms of our waste services. There's not necessarily additional dollars at the moment for an expansion, but my understanding is the report that's being sought here can be done within the existing budget, and so I'd encourage you to support the motion.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and I must confess to not being a coffee drinker, Councillor. I hope you don't hold it against me. I'm very happy to second this motion. I was definitely supportive of the original trial on Rundle Street, and I was quite disappointed to see that we weren't able to continue it forward since then. In the closing months of the previous term of council, I successfully moved a motion, I believe supported unanimously by the council at the time, bringing in a separate trial of 10-cent recycling rails, specifically for bins that were in kind of limited space or difficult to manoeuvre areas where we knew we wouldn't be able to expand the 3-bin trial further into. So this is definitely something that I'm happy to support. I think it's a no-brainer, especially with the direction that we're going in regards to fighting waste, fighting climate change, etc. So it's a no-brainer. I look forward to seeing the report, and I thank Councillor Siebentreut for his initiative in moving the motion. Thank you.
I don't think anyone's going to speak against it, so I'm not sure you need to sum up, Councillor. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you, members. We'll move on to motions without notice. Are there any? If not, we'll move on to questions on notice. There are only two, 18.1, 18.2, Councillor Davis and Councillor Martin. They've been distributed already and will be published. Questions without notice? Councillor Kouros, did you have a question without notice?
Send it through, Lord Mayor.
It related to the church. I'm
yes.
not sure. Would you like to?
Well, I've sent it through.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to?
Sorry, it hasn't appeared yet. There you are.
Okay. I don't know if administration want to take it away and answer it.
I think we have the answer.
Through the presiding member, Mr. Horidis.
Thank you, and through the chair. With regard to question 1, we have not received any formal complaints through our systems, as per the question. With regard to question 2, under the current conditions, our controls are adequate through bylaws to be able to manage activity. As council may recall and be aware, through those bylaws, in managing outcomes, it's equally about being present to observe the behaviour to then put forward enforcement. So in the event where to enable, to enable, the challenge for administration and staff is to enable effective enforcement for a number of our bylaws, this one included. It's our ability to witness the behaviour and then enact what our bylaws allow in terms of, and just to get the language exactly accurate, to tout or any activity that is about approaching people on the street to tout or convert or instill their religious beliefs on them. So that just becomes the compliance challenge, but our bylaws do provide us the power to move people on in that regard or to seek or reinforce permit conditions.
Without wishing to get in the way of your question, can I just clarify that after Councillor Noon raised the matter, wasn't there a commitment to return to council after further advice was sought? Was that not a commitment? I think it was a CEO undertaking to come back to council when there'd been some legal investigation about the situation. So we're still waiting for that. Can I have an update on that matter?
That is correct, to get formal legal advice.
So that's been requested and will come shortly.
We've progressed the request for formal legal advice informally, as we do when we prepare for this information. Whilst we're confident our bylaws cover, we'll have a formal advice to close that off.
Sorry, Lord
Councillor,
Mayor.
Was that of any help?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, I tried.
Sorry, Lord Mayor. I didn't. I don't recall the CEO's undertaking. When was that?
No.
When was that done?
Sorry. I think it was at the last council meeting, and Councillor Noon raised the matter. And
well, we had no motion. We had no question. It was with the
Councillor,
undertaking.
if I could just explain, we didn't know enough about the situation to move a motion because we weren't sure about the situation. I, for one, had never heard of the group. I'd never experienced them, and there was some doubt about the actual, not the veracity of the complaint, but the situation legally. And in the absence of any true facts, we asked the administration to seek advice, legal advice, on whether our bylaws had been contravened. So that was the undertaking, because we couldn't come to grips with the wording. I think that was the fair.
Can I speak? People will have actually saw the double-page spread article in the Sunday Mail yesterday. So it is really a serious issue, and these people are going under the radar here, and they're not actually
Point of order, Lord Mayor. This is regarding a question on notice. I didn't ask for any clarification.
Help you and
I understand now. I'm waiting for the legal advice. I get that we're going to spend money on this. I have my question answered. I'm not asking for it to be debated, Lord Mayor. It's a question.
We're trying to help you out.
Absolutely no. I've asked my question, Lord Mayor. I got my answer. I'm not asking for it to be debated. Thank you. And when I've got that, I don't understand why the councillor said that's right. Thank you.
It is a serious issue.
Councillor Martin.
Yeah, I have a question without notice, Lord Mayor, with regard to question 18.2, a follow-up for the administration. Noting that the complete absence of some of the councillors around this room, particularly at committee meetings, without apologies, and the combined practice of just leaving meetings before their conclusion results in some members, in some cases, attending only 50% of meetings. Is this
a question, Councillor?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
that is the question. That is, with councillors attending, in some cases, less than 50% of meetings, or 50% of meetings. Is there, and I ask this for the administration, is there any provision in the Local Government Act that deals with continuing neglect of the obligation to attend meetings?
I'm not sure I can answer that. Acting CEO.
Through the presiding member, the only specific provision in the local government legislation is that if a councillor does not attend 3 council meetings consecutively without submission of a request for leave, that there is a matter of significance. So leaving meetings isn't covered by the regulations at all.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Please, Councillor Kouros, there's no need to make noises across the floor. It makes it very confusing. Enough, please.
I'd like to speak against this. I don't believe that that this matter should be held in confidence. I don't think that it's satisfied, in my view, that it's surpassed, that there is a serious commercial interest, or that it's not in the public interest to have this conversation in public.
Thank you for your advice. Unless there's any other comment, I'll put that motion. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those against? A division has been called.
Councillors, a division has been called in relation to item 20 for exclusion of the public. Please stand in favour of the motion until your name has been called. Councillor Noon, Councillor Ho, Councillor Kouros, Councillor Lee, Councillor Siebentrip, Councillor Giles, Deputy Lord Mayor, Councillor Mutton and Councillor Abrahimzadeh. Thank you.
Thank you, members. That was passed. So we'll now clear the gap.